Trav. Yeah. All right, so I'm bored, and why not make a video? Sometimes I think about what I'm going to say, or, something I want to hit on, beforehand, whatever time I do these, and other times I really don't. I just kind of wing it. So I just kind of got bored tonight, and have offered anybody to come on and just talk about whatever. It's kind of like a casual pseudo meeting type of deal. Not sure if anybody will, or if anybody will join in, but I just like doing these things because they're like pop-up therapy sessions, as long as I can get real stuff. Some things I haven't talked about yet. I've said before, it's something I've talked about before, but I'll tie it into this. I needed other stuff to do outside of work, outside of being at home, outside of chores and cooking and cleaning, walking the dog, all that stuff. I just needed some outside hobbies, and I have too much of a creative, imaginative mind to not have other things going on. I mean, I've tried bands before, have written off and on throughout my life, but it's a little bit more difficult to start new hobbies. The older you get, there's more responsibilities that come up, which could cause aggravation, self-resentment and all that type of deal. So coming into this last, hopefully, and final relapse was a result of many things, but mainly because I felt like I was giving up certain parts of me that I always valued, that I always relied on in times of boredom, in times of, just monotonous, daily life stuff, which everybody feels, on a day-to-day basis sometimes. Many skill sets or talents I thought I might have had or whatnot. Used to karaoke a lot. Just stuff that just was fun. I'm not really big into fishing, which requires a lot of patience. I don't have that yet. Maybe that would be something to try to do more with the stepsons. That for myself, try to get out there a little bit more this summer. But what I'm trying to say is I needed stuff to fill the time and the void that drugs created, left behind. It was, those addictions, they progress pretty quickly. And before you know it, you're a casual user turns into like an all day, every day, all night affair. And it just ruins and collapses every good thing you got going on, or any aspirations or dreams or anything. So I just gave up kind of on writing and singing and anything like that. I've always been able to maintain my sense of humor, which is something that's never left. There's definitely been times when there was nothing funny about where I was in life, mentally, physically, spiritually, and not having much at all. When you don't have hope, it's hard to have a sense of humor about it. And I was always, one of my biggest fears was that sometime along the way that I would lose that sense of humor. Yeah, I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but that was the one thing I knew I could always rely on in any situation, for the most part. And thank God that's never left me either. So I've always kind of thought that, like, if the moment came where I ever thought I felt I was really losing my sense of humor or lost it, that I would go crazy. I wouldn't be able to maintain anything manageable. But anyway, so get out of group or get out of Gateway and feeling great about stuff. Did some really bad stuff, man. But I don't know any addict who didn't do bad stuff. That's what addiction is and creates, bad stuff. But I knew that I fundamentally and realistically and literally, to the best of my ability, without holding anything back, give my will and my life over to God. So you do what you want to do. I tried taking my life twice, so this is the result. Get a little, good streak. Stay away from drugs and alcohol, and then go back to it for whatever reason. Because I think I'm lacking something, or I need something else. And, something materialistic or frivolous, superficial. And, so I try to fill that void, a trivial void, with substances and toxins that just deplete even more of you. Of myself, anyway. Left me with less than I had when I go back out. So I knew there wasn't going to be meetings 24/7 and church and all this other stuff that you could use. So I'm like, I have to create some things to fill that void in that time. Creating this group, and I've told Deb this, like, I don't really remember what my motivation was. I guess it's such a brash, there's so many groups though, but I barely had 3 months or 2 months or something. So it wasn't like I was like the recovery guy. I'm just getting to step 4. But the passion was there again in a whole new light, in a whole new way. I was excited about knowing completely, unequivocally, undoubtedly, being freed from the desire, temptation, and urge for crack, coke, and alcohol. Alcohol always just led to the dope. Alcohol, I always refer to it as the breadsticks at the dinner table. They bring out the breadsticks. Yeah, you're going to have some breadsticks, but you're waiting on the meal, which was coke. As lame as it sounds, that's, once again, me trying to use my sense of humor. to create some levity in a serious situation. But so I created a group, and it started off the way it started off. A few people here and there. I sent some invites, tell some people about it, and I've never had many friends on Facebook, really, hardly ever, and less than 5% I would even really engage with on a daily basis, and I'm talking over, a decade now or so. So to see it grow to 283 in less than 4 months, 5 months, is pretty cool. There's more people in the group than I have on my friends list. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm hardly ever on my regular Facebook feed. Once in a while, I'll share something over to there, but I don't go on there for nothing. I don't post anything to my own Facebook, but I'm just sharing memes, and it's cool to see my feed change over time with my interests and what I was putting in to Facebook. I was getting back. So all these recovery groups, all these God memes, all these Bible verses groups and stuff, self-help sites and all this. And then meet this person, meet that person, meet that person. Who knows this person? Get them to the group, and then they ask some stuff. And then I think about, man, I talk a lot. I definitely talked a whole bunch at Gateway. Yeah. So I've never really been one who could shut up. And so it's just I do enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy the fact that I've realized it doesn't matter the person's background, what they look like, what they're into, how much money they got or don't have, where they're from. If they've been in addiction and recovery and in and out, I got stuff to relate to them on, and vice versa. And then they're going to know somebody else with the same idea and the same things, and on down the line. And that just builds this chain and builds this connection, this network, which I think is just incredibly vital. And I'm not shy. No, I mean, I've definitely have come up with, like, I've been capable of creating some massive lies over the years, with almost an enthusiasm. I really believe in my own bullshit sometimes, most of the time. And I realized that anytime, especially when I was younger, different relationships or work, wherever, school, if people start to lean in and want to know some stuff about me, childhood, growing up, parents, stuff like that, that was uncomfortable for me. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, this is how you really build a friendship. We're going to bond here. I've seen it in the movies. This is how people communicate and talk, share stuff, and then they have a bond. So, yeah, this will be cool. I'll do that, And then I start to unravel, some honesty, some real stuff, whatever, about whatever they're asking. But then it would get to the point where it becomes like, it swells up. You know what I mean? Like, gets too painful, gets too awkward, gets too red and just not good. So instead of being like, I'm having a moment, I'm going to take a walk or just get out of the conversation entirely, I would just, on a dime, go from saying a bunch of truthful stuff with emotion there and coming and changing and progressing or whatever, to just be like, I can't, nope, I'm going to show too much, I'm going to look too much, I can't have that. So on a dime, I would just make up the rest of whatever I was talking about to this person. And that's shitty to do. But to me, it was almost like, I don't want to say survival mode. But I've done it. I've done it to everybody. I that, if it got to that point, that seriousness. I mean, there's some people, friends that come and go, that you were just kind of friends with, acquaintances, but it never got to the level of like them really wanting to know you. Or I would always be the one to ask stuff and get info on them to then just like use against them later on, because I was a great person. Excuse me. But I realized, though, hopefully not too late, that same ability that I can be telling some truths and then on a dime just go in a different direction and a falsehood with it. I could still, none of those feelings and emotions and past stuff is going to kill me if I don't let it. I mean, there's been a lot of painful stuff. Like, everybody has painful things they've gone through, man. Mine are here. Somebody else's is here. Somebody else's is way up here. Some other people's are a little bit lower than ours. The point is, we never know what something I've gone through. It's not going to feel the same to that person I'm sharing it with, or to the next person, or whatever. They might even take it worse than what I'm feeling. So the point is just to be able to sit and listen and let them get that out. You may be the only person that they, share certain things with for whatever reason. And I realized that I was being completely disrespectful to everybody by wanting their truths, but then just giving them half truths. And plus, it sells me short. You know what I mean? Like, how can you expect to ever have friends, make friends, and keep them over the years if you're feeding them a bunch of bullshit or just stories that don't make sense? Or, what do I expect? Everybody to, buy everything I sold them? Was I that great of an actor when I was 17 years old, or when I was 46? I don't get it. But the thing was, I would always piss and moan and be like, I don't have any friends, or they're just not, cool enough. I'd make up some excuse. But I mean, my circle of friends was a dot. Like, you couldn't even measure it. But that was all my fault. I would say, well, somebody's not cool enough, or I don't like them for this or whatever. And that's because it was just an easy way to justify me not giving them as much as they gave me, emotionally, honestly. So I would just make something up about them and like, I'm better off alone anyway. I don't need friends like that. Like, I don't know what am I talking about? I didn't even make an honest effort to make a friend. There was nothing really that honest about me from the beginning. I would take, if somebody had a liking towards me in whatever way, I'd give them that, stay in that character or that mode, have that mask on, and ride that out. Then if they wanted something else or seemed to get bored with that somehow, I would take offense to it. It'd be their fault. They're assholes. They don't deserve me as a friend anyway. And then, until and I just kept doing that over and over and over. Same thing with jobs. Same thing with anything. Until I was, in my late 30s, living in an apartment complex that I was barred from for the last 20 years with my ailing grandma. She knew me better than anybody. She accepted all sides, except the drinking part and all that shit. But I think she'd be okay with what she sees nowadays. And if she hears me, she's liking what she's hearing because she knows it's me being honest. And all those drunken mornings that she had to endure because she loved me unconditionally. Some of it was fun, but most of it was me just ranting and raving and being a drunken fucking loser lunatic. She still was able to see the good in me that I pissed on my entire life, that I ruined by never having enough balls. Yeah, I know it's June, but I'm going to say balls to step into all the great stuff I talked of myself about. I'm this, I'm that, I can do this, I can be this. And then just cower away from it, blame somebody else, start the whole process over again, and then go run for safety. Usually to grandmas. But she still saw that potential in me because there's once in a while, not every morning I was drunk. Let's get that cleared up. But she was the only person I had to talk to for a long time. It was me and her in like the last few years. And she said really a lot of great things to me that I think she really meant. Said you should be a preacher someday. Me, a preacher. Now, I don't have any plans to be a preacher. I don't even know what that means. But if I'm telling you about God every day, if you don't hear me mention God at least once a day in a meme, on a post, or on a video, then you might want to check with me, see if I'm cool. God gave me life. He's brought me back from 2 attempts to end my life. I've disrespected him and blamed him for every single thing that's gone bad in my life, for all the things that I wanted but couldn't get, and all the things that I did get but then lost, no fault of my own. So God always got the blame. He never got the credit, but I would use him to get out of situations just like I'd use my grandma, and then disrespect them by doing all the same stuff all over again, and then blaming them all over again just the same. So I was done with doing all that. I was just done hurting people I love intentionally for my own, for what gain? Us as addicts, like what? Why did we hurt the ones we loved for? Because it's a disease. We're the disease. A disease isn't started until you give in to not being the best version of yourself. Well, you don't know what you want to do in life. You got all this and all this trauma and all this pain and all this hurt. Yeah, I get all that. But man, we create the disease. That's my opinion. Diseases kill. If you get cancer and you don't do nothing about it but just pray, you might get a miracle and have that cancer removed. Leukemia, AIDS, whatever. You're going to die of that disease. If you purposely, intentionally pick up a bottle, a needle, or whatever, and ingest that so many times for so long. You OD, you get shot or ran over or something. Well, the disease got him in the end. Come on, man. That's just one more mask and one more excuse to hide behind. That's my opinion. Not preaching, just telling you. Because then, I'll give you this as an example. I've heard addicts say this still to this day. Years recovered. Get into a bad argument, relapse. And then tell the wife, well, you knew I'm an addict. This is what I do. I got the disease of addiction. The wife standing there like, you just had 7 years clean and sober. Like, things were fine. Like, diseases come and go. They flare up. Well, usually once you get it, it progresses, and you can make it worse by doing the same shit you've been doing. But it usually just doesn't go away on its own. So some addicts will get clean, and I've done this. And I'm like, well, clean and sober, I'm good, but I know I'm always going to be an addict, though. So I want to leave the door for potentially relapsing wide the fuck open, but pretend and live like it's closed. You have to concrete that wall up, or that door, with brick, mortar, cement, whatever. That door is your disease. You can walk in and out at any time and then call it a disease. Well, I got the disease of addiction. I'm an addict. What do you know? Life got too tough. Life got too tough for me. Somebody died. So my disease made me pick up again because I'm an addict. Stop. Just stop. Addiction is a disease, so pharmaceutical companies and big rehab centers can make money off of it. Stop thinking it's a disease. We create. Garbage in is garbage out. Period. You know what I'm saying? For me, and I relied on that. I use that as an excuse for a long time. I'm like, sure, I'll get clean and sober. I know it's a hassle. I'll do that. And yeah, I don't want to live that life anyway. It sucks. I'm sorry it hurt you. Did this, I'm an addict though, so I'm not constantly, well, that's why you got to work on it every day. You got to work on it every day. All the time, 24/7. You got to be thinking about recovery and hearing about addiction and hearing about crack and hearing about alcohol and hearing about other people's stories and hearing about this and hearing about that. Sometimes you just got to walk away from addiction. And if you say God has took this out of me, which so many people have, it's a real thing. For some reason, it always happens in the Walmart parking lots. I don't know why. But constantly hearing about working on yourself, for me, does not include hearing about drugs and alcohol every single day. It's ridiculous. That is hanging around the barbershop. And if you ain't picking up and drinking, awesome. But mentally and spiritually, I don't know where you are. Because my God saved me from myself, took drugs and alcohol out of my life. That's all he did. He didn't cure me of this. He didn't cure me of eating. None of that stuff, cussing, being impatient, and everything else. That's me. That's what he's given me the chance to do. He said, here, this ends. Now, you improve your life. Come to me when you get some successes. Give that glory to me. I'll help you every bit of the way. Your hand is in mine. I'm pulling you. We're walking together. But do not put anything above me. So for the people that worship the program of NA and AA and that big book and all that stuff, and they put that ahead of everything, and they go daily and nightly to meetings, and they're in it, and they're on the front lines. Cool. I thought I wanted that too in the beginning, months ago. There's way too much. There's way too much more to life than that. How are you going to keep what you have if you don't give it away? And I'm learning every single day from new people, new experiences, new stories, people that have overcome their disease, who gave up on that, who changed their lives completely, going in a different direction, have new stories, new successes to talk about instead of the same old failures and the same old rhetoric and the same old slogans and the same old mottos. Because what did I talk about earlier? Monotony and boredom got me here for the most part. This stuff doesn't bore me. I want people just to, I want to go on this GBR and I just want to see like live video from this person. This person cut a live video. This person cut a live video. This is daily inventory, live, unadulterated, unfiltered, uncensored. This is what keeps me energized, impassioned, motivated. Am I talking about God 24/7? Am I giving you a bunch of Bible verses every single 6 seconds? Am I trying to like school you on the gospel? No, I'm not doing any of that, but I'm taking bits and pieces from everybody that I've talked to and interviewed and you know, engaged with. And I'm like, this is a good person. That's really good what that person said. I love what that person said. I told this lie and it ate me up. So I had to like, you know, admit to the person and tell them I lied and ask for forgiveness instead of just like rolling with the lie and put 50 other lies on top of it. You surround yourself by people you want to become. The world is a big place. Why would I ever drown myself inside the same building at the same table with mostly the same people? Love and respect them all. But this is the way I branch out. This is the way we build our network. Look at all the people we've met in 5 months. So this is just part of what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And it's the only time in my life other than me and Deb getting together, which I'll share that sometime. But this is the only time in my life, only time other than me and Deb getting together, that I feel that my will, for at least for this stuff, and doing the interviews and talking to people. There's my guy Alex. Great to see him. This is what I'm talking about. Tracy Scoggins, Teresa Melton, Deborah Robbins, Alex Sanders. 4 unique individuals. I love it. And they're all on here at the same time. To me, I give that to God. God did that. But this is the only time I've ever felt that what I want to do, what I'm good at doing, what I enjoy doing, what helps me heal, what makes me shed and shred that mask of disease, of addiction, is God's will too. And I go back to my grandma saying, you should be a preacher. But she didn't say it. She said it wholeheartedly and sincerely. Even when she was mad at me. And that was a long time ago. How crazy was she? Because I don't know if this is preaching or preachy or whatever. But I'm proceeding with my heart right here. It ain't on my sleeve. It's right here. And all the bullshit that I've fed people over the years that didn't have friends and complained about it because they didn't accept my bullshit. Well, now I'm just trying to do the opposite of that. I'm feeding sincerity. I'm feeding truthfulness. I'm putting that out, that positive, good, healthy stuff out, and bringing it in instead of garbage in, garbage out that I did for 40 years. And this is the result of it so far. It's almost, yeah, 14th, this June 14th, God willing, 7 months, clean and sober. And as long as I stop thinking that I have to live with this stigma, this money grabbing idea that I have a disease of addiction, when all I have to do is ask. I didn't even ask God to remove it. He just removed it from me because he knew better. He knew I didn't want to be that. So I don't have the disease of addiction. For me, it's not a disease. We could have that. I don't want to have that debate. I'm not trying to debate people. Believe in what you want to believe. Stay clean and sober. Do what you got to do. But for me, calling it an addiction, a disease, and then saying I'm going to be an addict for the rest of my life, there's the door. You might as well not even shut it, because you're going to go back at it eventually. And if you don't go back at it eventually, you're going to be stuck on this side of it, wondering what kind of great life and what more progress and potential you could have if you stepped out of that shitty past, that stinking thinking that your addiction is a disease is stinking thinking, in my opinion. Become more than that. Why would we limit ourselves? Well, this is how I am. This is the way I've always been. I'm just an addict, taking it one day at a time. Yeah, so was I. 6 times. Didn't work. Everything I said was just, they should have had the subtitles, self-sabotage. When you hear Trav talking about recovery, it's self-sabotage, basically. I just wanted you to believe it. I didn't believe it. All I needed to do was have you believe it. And then I'd be fine. Until the next time. Until I ran out of that self-will ridiculousness. This is what I do. So this is just, what is this, Wednesday night randomness. Anybody want to come on screen, let me know. Alex, you want to come on and talk, bud? Alex. Random topic. I don't know what it is. Deb wrote them down. Whatever this is, me and you talk about it. Come on. I don't care what shape you're in. If not, I'm going to talk about it anyway. So what Deb write on this one? I won't try to spend too much time on this, but she wrote down, oh, anger. Anger. Anybody want to come on here and talk about anger problems or issues? I'll bring you right on. Let's go. Join me. Hell, some of y'all might be mad at me right now. All right. Well, if you do, just hit the request to join, to come on screen, and I'll bring you on. But anger. Blame it on short guy complex. Man, I don't know where my anger stems from. I've had a lot of it over the years. Some really bad anger. Alcohol always made it worse, but it's always been there. See the situation with my mom growing up, her situation with muscle disease and then cancer. You know, that angered me. Having my baby mom basically just get tired of being in a relationship and tired of being a parent. That angered me. But I was angered way before that, though. My mom was angry. I got a lot of it from her, not putting that on her, but she had some very unfortunate events happen to her, with one ex-boyfriend in particular. And I couldn't get along with him, even though he was a Yankees fan. Yeah, he left her on her birthday. I was thinking I was 9, maybe 10, and left me at Alexander's. So I had to walk home. He messed the car up. The car was fine. Told me to go home and get him, mom and grandma. And yeah, she was really mad and blamed me. He left because of you. Pepsi, Pepsi. True story without all the details. She's really angry. Got the old wish you were never born things. Brought you into this world to take you out of it. When I heard that for the first time, everybody's heard that, right? It's almost like a cliche nowadays. But when I first heard that, that scared the shit out of me because I'm like, is that legal? Like, will she? Like, our rooms are right next to each other. She get bad at sports, and then she had to take a steroid called prednisone for her muscle disease, which ended up really, I see now over time. I just realized this a couple of years ago. It messed her mood up mentally, made her really aggressive, temperamental. Plus, she had a lot of pain and trauma and everything else. So instead of stepping out of all that, which she really couldn't walk anyway, but I'm just saying, all that became her even more. Her whole identity was her broken heart, her muscle disease, her loneliness, single mom stuff, low income, no aspirations or dreams. They're all gone before she's even 30. So, seems like that got passed right on to me. I took that and ran with it. So yeah, it made me angry, and jealousy breeds anger a lot. Saw a lot of kids, friends that had more than me, had two parents, had the dad going to sports games with them and stuff. So, always jealous. And I think living in the apartment complex had a lot to do with that too, because I'd be like, make some friends, and I talked about this, and they'd be gone at the end of that summer or whatever. They would just be a revolving door of friends. So I could never get my footing on having like a longevity type of friendship. That bugged me. That still kind of angers me a little bit. So even before I started BSing later on, older friends, as I got in high school and early 20s and stuff, I got, and plus seeing my mom get left how she did, how miserable she was, I had to be in charge of the leaving, of the abandoning. So self-sabotage became a very useful tool to me. I'm like, well, before I get close to anybody, I'm going to make damn sure that I give them a reason to leave other than them just leaving me high and dry with my hopes up, hoping to hang out with them tomorrow, play some baseball, trade some baseball cards. They're gone. I'm saying that comes from when I was younger, because it feels good to be liked. We're addicts. It feels good. Something feels good. We like to have it and more of it, and for it to last a long time. So meeting new friends, people to hang out with, it would just come and go, come and go, come and go. So as I got older, I started to add all that up, and I'm like, well, this was only going to last for a short time, so they're not getting anything too personal. I'll make everything up because I'm creative and imaginative, using those talents that God gave me in a negative way for selfish gain, temporarily, even at best. So that's what I did. Girlfriends, friends. I had two friends that lasted. Danny Thompson, Jeremy Kale, and Mike Hardwick. Sorry if I left anybody else out, but that was my childhood high school friends. And the reason for that is, now looking back on it, I'm just thinking this. I'm not saying this is what it is. I'm not putting words in their mouth. All different, kind of similar, but different backgrounds, different family upbringings. We all kind of felt the same. and we all knew each other, kind of felt the same without really ever diving into it too deep. But we had plenty of deep conversations. Never saying I didn't, but it was few and far between. So that circle of friends was just a dot. It was not that big. But so we all kind of like leaned on each other because of that like unspoken knowing brotherhood type of thing. But without diving too deep into it, without putting anybody on the spot, without anybody making the other brother feel like a piece of shit. And it lasted, for quite a while. We got girlfriends and life happened and all that stuff. And, man, when that dot of friends dwindled to microscopic sizes, it was just me again. And the anger was still there, even more so, because I'm like, here's some people that I did have deep conversations with, that I did have longevity type of friendships with, and they're still gone. So even when I did it the honest way, the fair way, the giving way, to keep what I had, it still left. I still was without. And I blamed them, blame my mom, and I blame God. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the blueprint for emotional destruction. What I like to do today is not any of that ever again, anymore, for any gain, longevity wise. That's the last time I used that word, by the way, or short term. When I talk to somebody, I'm giving them what I feel at the moment. I'm listening. I'm giving whatever feedback could be available. And then I'm going on with my day without any expectations. Without any expectations. For two reasons. One, a person could die or move on to never be heard of again or seen. And two, they can't get me into heaven. You're like, what? What do you mean? Of course they can't. I just mean that if I seek friendships and honest means more, if I seek members in a group or subscribers on my YouTube channel, Trav23 Ingram, if I seek that more in honest ways, sharing my honest truthfulness. Honesty is just your tweaking of what truth is. Truthfulness just is. If I seek that stuff more than I seek the man, the entity, the omnipotent one, my Lord and Savior, who gave me all this, who even let me live through all those bad years to come to the point to where I'm like, man, I was a piece of shit. My bad, God. Didn't mean to blame you for everything. Then they're not worth having in the first place, because I'm putting all this stuff, all them conversations, all those connections with those people above God. What I do instead is thank God for every moment I get, every breath I'm taking, smoking or otherwise, to see how honest and truthful I can be with myself. Because that's the only road to take. Then you want to talk about a narrow path. Being completely honest and truthful with yourself and offering that as is, buyer beware, to others to accept or not, to even ridicule or criticize, which I'm spending less and less time worried about that. Um, that's a narrow road. But the difference now is all the years I was alone, all the times I had relationships, had friendships, lost them, gave up on them, put the blame everywhere else. I realized it was on me. Every time I ended up alone and held grudges, lived in resentment, lived in dread of the next day, it's because I was relying on the connection with another person, another place, another thing gained, and another night out more than God. Not even terribly sinful, just absolutely ignorant to the fact that every person I was meeting, every place I got employment, every relationship I got into was handed to me by God again and again and again, just in the same breath that I'd be complaining and blaming him for something that just left me, that I just basically lost and ruined. He was already prepared the next thing to give me. He's done this for 47 years. And I sit before you simply as a humble man. I caused a lot of destruction in my drug career. Recently retired. A lot of friends have died. A lot of really good people died. Better people than me. People that had more. People that had longevity. People that had a lifetime worth of friendship with many people. Money in the bank. Known around the community. They're gone. So how special did I think I ever was? To have more than them? To be mad at them? Because I didn't even know how to attain anything. Using my self-will without discipline? Makes sense. If you have no discipline, if you have no self-discipline, your self-will is null and void. So, anger sucked. I'm going to keep going. People are still watching. Here's another one. So, anger is bad. I still get angry at a lot of stuff, but I don't direct it as much at people. When I get angry at something, it's me. So I'm finally getting to look inwardly at, like, why is something pissing me off so much? Something I'm lacking, or something I haven't put together yet, or let go of, or surrendered. So I'm getting there. The thing about walking on a narrow path is there's less room to turn around for excuses. Responsibility. Oh my God. I'm responsible for proceeding everything I do as truthfully as I can. I'm responsible for laying next to my wife at night, sober, sane, and as serene as possible. And also, hopefully, snoreless. Sorry for that. I'm responsible for showing the 3 young men that do not give up on yourself. Do not try to live up to somebody else's standards. And do not seek things that could be taken away from you in the blink of an eye. Always be working on yourself. Always seek God first. Any other responsibilities on earth? Yeah, helping to pay bills. Obviously, maintaining stuff like that. Not going with the flow. I'm responsible to tell people not to go with the flow, because if you go with the flow too long, it leads to an ocean all by yourself, and it's called the abyss, and you'll just drown. Go with the flow long enough to narrow that stream and that channel into an area where you could sustain something and have some context and substance to your life, and a little bit of solid foundation to stand on. So if you're going to go with the flow, make sure it leads to Jesus. If you're going to go with the flow that leads to heaven. Otherwise, I don't know where else you're intending to go. But I'm responsible for letting people know that. I'm responsible for my own actions. I'm responsible for my choices, big or small, and I'm responsible to trying to live up to what my grandma always told me in any close way I can. And everything I ever wanted is just a direct result in letting go of all the same things. The only thing I've ever needed is bringing me everything I ever wanted. I'm doing it right now. And all I chose to do was give up trying to do everything my way and just ask God to lead this sinner saved by grace on a daily basis who does inventory throughout the day. Take daily inventory. Are you kidding me? Man, I got to take inventory sometimes 4 or 5 times before noon. Take it whenever. Some things, you can sit on and be like, 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 days. See if you're going to be like, thinking about that or it's still going to be bothering you. Some things you can get through, but if things stay on your mind and then something else adds to it and then something else triggers it and somebody notices that you're like looking a certain way or feeling a certain way, talk about it to somebody. Do something like this. And I get that everybody isn't like comfortable doing stuff like this. I understand that. I don't know why I am necessarily. Hearing some of my story from, my younger life and everything, you'd think I'd run from this. But I'm not. I'll tell you everything I did last summer that I can remember. I'll tell you things I did 7 years ago that were bad. I don't run from nothing. When I was, single, here you go. That's what I'm talking about. Son's mom left. He's about 2. Mom was dying of cancer. I was on course, eating pills, drinking, smoking weed, doing whatever. Hadn't really started coke yet, but it was just me and him living apartment. And there's a few nights that I'd leave him in his crib and just go try to get some weed, just get buzzed sometimes, mostly, or drink a few beers and come back. That's what I used to do. I did that plenty of times. Now, is that horrible? Yeah, it's horrible. Why'd you tell us that, Trav? That's pretty personal. That's really shitty. Because I feel better admitting it. It didn't kill me. I'm not crying. I'm not triggered. I say that as and that's a true story. I say that as an example of what some things you might have hidden that you're like, well, I just can't tell that to nobody. Love this group, love God, love all this stuff, but there's some things I was going to keep to myself. Until when? Until when that disease of addiction creeps back up on you and uses that against you? Why? Your addiction can only exist when you feed it. Drugs use us. We don't use drugs. So, everybody says, well, it's because of this past stuff, how I grew up, this past pain, this abuse, this neglect, this molestation. whatever. Mom and dad got divorced. I don't know. So it's all the trauma and all the pain and all that gets us to the point where we're like, well, we just want to fit in. This seems cool. I'm going to start doing drugs and alcohol to block that. And then you get clean and sober. And you still got all the same stuff that got you to the drugs and the alcohol in the first place. You're just not doing drugs and alcohol anymore. So what's all that stuff going to do? Just not eventually come bite you back in the ass again on a bad day? Why are you holding on to it for? Why? You ain't gonna like this reason. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I did. I held on to there's many other things. I want to purge everything. That's how you kill disease. You purge yourself of the sickness you keep to yourself that causes the disease in the first place. So I think that the best thing you could do, the reason why we keep some of those things hidden, out of fear, out of embarrassment, out of ridicule, out of being canceled, out of being like messed up on Facebook, almost use some other words that would get me flagged. You're keeping them not for any of them reasons, but you're keeping them for a rainy day that you could say, well, this is a date that this happened to me when I was 9. This is a day that my mom died. It still hurts. 27,000 years later. Does it? Does it? Because memories are never exact. Memories are little pieces of what we think we recall, of what things used to be like, what maybe could have happened. And then over time, they just get skewed and skewed and skewed and skewed. So, holding on to all these death dates, abuse dates, whatever, they're just self-sabotage for a rainy day. Because if you're like me, and you're living your best life, and you're making your best effort, and you're putting your best foot forward, and you're giving it to God, and you're doing all the things right, and some other person who's a sinner, who's imperfect, just messes up everything that you had going on, who kicked you right off that narrow path. Guess what we have now? Well, we got excuses. Those terrible things we couldn't talk about are now, because of somebody else's actions against us, for whatever reason, gives us a life out of jail card. So whatever. We can go drink and drug. Or at least have that choice, because it's instantly validated. It's instantly justified. I don't deserve this. I was doing everything right. I was walking with God. I was going to meetings. I was doing the 12 steps. But I was leaving some things off the pages and inside. When you leave things inside, they lead you right back out. Eventually, every time. From what I've seen, I said that about my son as an example that anybody watching this an hour later can be like, holy shit, I can't believe he said that. But just keep in mind, it's said because whatever, something worse or something not as bad, but when you hear me say that about me leaving my son in his crib so I could go out and drink and drug, just a little bit, not like a big massive thing. I just wanted a couple of beers, a little bit of weed, hour or so, come back. If I didn't get pulled over and get, abandonment charges or whatever. Just know that when you hear that story, I don't say it for as a war story or glorifying it or dramatizing it or anything. It's so when you hear it, it'll instantly make you think of something that you're keeping in, that you've always kept in, that husband or wife or brother or sister, work, whoever, don't know. But I guarantee you there is somebody who knows. There's two people that know your secrets. You, there's three. You, God, and the devil. The devil knows. If you want to know what the disease of addiction is, it's the devil. That's all it is. Diseases wouldn't exist without the devil. Right, Alex? So if you don't feed into the devil, if you don't commit like really bad, harmful sins to somebody else, we're going to sin every day. Like there's sin is a sin is a sin. No. I sin every day. I ask God to work on me as I'll work on myself. But I'm not going out committing adultery. I'm not killing somebody. I'm not molesting kids. I'm not living, a gay lifestyle and trying to like chop off like, that kind of stuff. Sin is not just a sin. Sin is a sin is a sin is a cop out. There's way worse sins than these other sins. But they all have to be repented for just the same. So if we're living in willful sin and committing bad ones, that's feeding the devil. That's saying, hey, devil, come on in here. What you got behind your back? Oh, that's disease of addiction? Okay, that's all right. The devil's always going to be there for you on a rainy day. Just waiting for you to pull out one of those excuses, one of those secrets. Garbage in is garbage out. So my responsibility in that respect is to purge myself of all that garbage and stop calling it a disease. This last one, I can't believe I went this long tonight. Self-care. This is my self-care. This is what I'm doing. And this is my self-care. This is just me being me. Not trying to be preachy or over the top or anything. Self-care. That means just taking... I've never done that. I've heard about it a lot. What is it? Do I do it? What do you do? What does anybody do for self-care? I think self-care just means, especially if you're doing inventory, taking it easy on yourself sometimes. We can be our biggest critic. We can be our only support sometimes. But we can also create subconscious victimhood and then live that out. Don't get trapped in your head too long. Do anything that is healthy, that makes you feel better, that makes you feel worthwhile, that makes you feel deserving of your own company. If you can't stand being around yourself, if you make your own skin crawl, if you annoy yourself, you might need some self-care. Find things. I'm so tired of people telling me this. I'm not really good at anything, man. I don't really do. I just play my video games or, just hang out. Yeah, because that's what God created you to do. He created you to hang out and play video games. Or smoke weed in your 40s and make tie-dyes. And yell for meatloaf all the time. I'm not doing it. take care of yourself, self-care. You can't, oh, it could be working out, dieting, sleeping better, reading. The Bible is always self-care. Coming on here and shooting your own live videos and telling your truths is self-care. Stop wallowing. If you don't have much, if you're like, I just don't have anybody or anything, then how are you wallowing in nothingness? How does that make any sense? If you don't have nothing, then you have all the freedom to create things, stuff you want. Go seek the friendships and relationships you want by being who you want to attract. Dude, I've been there. People don't like hanging around pessimistic Debbie Downers, negative Nancy's, shitty Sean's. I don't know. Shitty Sean's a new one. But they just don't. And the worst thing about that is people can be sympathetic and empathetic, but if you only use them and not give them real stuff, they're going to sense it or going to know it. Or if you complain about the same thing all the time to the same person, the same way, and never do anything to change it, what do you expect from them? They're not getting paid. Take care of yourself. That means letting go of some shit, man. Working out makes you feel better. I don't work out. I should. In many ways, there's, being hypocritical on here. But at the same time, this is trying to make myself be accountable. Like, I'm trying to, manifest this into my reality. And strengthen numbers. You know what I mean? If I could get on here and say something that somebody else is like, hey, you said this or whatever, I started doing this made me feel this way, so I changed this around. Then I see that, I'm like, shit, they took that to heart and made a change. Well, so can I. Then maybe I should take my own advice. And now I could keep tabs with somebody and that's doing the same thing that I need to be doing. That's how we grow. That's how we build, man. That is what community is all about. Self-care. So those are the topics. And it's just, self-care is not drugs and alcohol. I think hobbies was another one. This could be my hobby, I guess. I don't know. I'd love for it to be some kind of career. I don't know what I really want to do. Maybe go back to Gateway in a year and a half and try to work there. But, man, this time last year compared to now, Jesus. I don't know. And I don't have a lot, but yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, you do. We have a lot. And you know what the definition of a lot is? The world at our fingertips every day that God grants us. To take care of ourselves, to be responsible for ourselves so other people could depend on us, and to let go of resentments, grudges, guilt, so we don't take our anger out on the people we love and then say we love them. Well, obviously we don't, because we hate ourselves for a lot of stuff. And when you hurt the ones you love and you apologize to them and you keep all that same stuff inside that caused you to take the stuff out on them, you're not apologizing to them because you're not apologizing to yourself. And if you keep that stuff in here, that's not gonna change your behavior. We got to get rid of everything. I don't care if it's going to a therapist one-on-one or a pastor. I'm not saying put everything out there like I just did about my son being left in the crib out on Facebook. I'm just saying I don't have any fear of that no more. I'm not letting go of any of that. I don't need to go talk to a therapist about everything that I know I have inside of me, that God knows I have inside of me. I'm letting it go. I'm taking the power back from it that it's held on to me by talking it and giving it, speaking it out into the world, man, letting that energy out. I just can't seem to get by in life. I just can't seem to ever get anywhere. That's because we're weighted down by, these anvils of resentment that are haunting and robbing us of our everyday, putting on our smiles. How you doing? Good. Really? You want to take the opportunity to? And that's not like everybody's going to come up to you and be like, hey there, you got some sick secrets inside that you want to spill out and get rid of? Bet you do. Why don't you go ahead and tell me about them? I'm all ears. Nobody's going to do that. They really do. I would, though. I would. And I mean that. I may not be ready the exact time you're ready to do that, but when I'm ready, yeah, you can. You can hit me with anything. It'll be my ears hearing it and God's. But I will say this. Me and Deb are one. So there's quite a few things that I share with her. Just because I hear some heavy stuff sometimes, man. And sometimes I shouldn't lay everything heavy on her. She's not my therapist. She's not an emotional vending machine. I'm getting better at that, sort of. But what I'm excited about is I get to go lay down with her and be in with her tonight. Hopefully I don't keep her awake by snoring. But I get to get up. I get to drive around, meet some cool people. Tell them thank you, be kind to them, tell them Jesus loves you. Sometimes I slip that in there. Make a little bit of money to make myself feel like, I'm able to contribute a little bit. And get on here and do this. And talk to Cole Solerson, a guy I was in rehab with at Gateway last November and December. Can't wait to talk to him. That's going to be really cool. But that Alex Sanders right there, I don't know if he's still watching. It only shows Tracy's thing up top. But he's he's number one, has been for a while, on my list of people that I want to do the on the spots with. He's got his reasons for not doing it. I respect that. But I'm telling you, and he don't know, but he's like, don't say it. I'm going to. God's going to make him or show him a sign that he should do that with me eventually. And you talk about scriptural knowledge and as is person, good, bad, ugly, and everything in between, dark, light at the same time. That's him. And there isn't a whole lot of people that I honestly respect as much as him. And that's just me being honest. He's got a hell of a story. He's got a lot of that stuff I'm talking about in here. That if he just gets it out and gives up that disease, gives up that darkness, gives up that, shuts and walls off that door to the devil that is addiction, that tricks us into thinking we have a disease, and it's just the devil that we've invited into our lives because we keep the sick secrets inside of us, and the devil owns those. Anything that's hatred filled, envious, lust, all the 7 deadly sins, a lot of that stuff is from past. We keep that in here while we're saying we're good and doing the best we can. The devil still owns a part of it. He says, why is the devil bothering me? Why is he coming after me? I'm doing all these good things. I'm telling you, it's because I'm pure of heart. Yeah, you may be. You may be. But the devil still feels like he owns parts of that now and then. Because we can't be pure of heart. If we're sinful people and Jesus died for all of our sins, saying we have a pure heart is kind of Not true. Although, if we had pure hearts, then we would not need saving or God's grace. It sounds good, but it's just not. It's not the most truest thing we could say. But yeah, Alexander's. I'd love to have him come on here. Hopefully, he sees the end of this and decides to do it one of these days. Everybody else that watched for this, I don't know how long. Debbie's gonna kill me. She's like, I give you 3 topics to talk about. This is what I do. And I don't know how I stack up there with the Blake Martins and the Nate Aaron Burks and, Johnny Childresses, Jeremy Listers, the Brandon Newcomers. I don't know how. Brian Rutrow. I don't know how I rank with all them, but I don't care. I don't have any competition. God is the only competition. And as long as God's on my side and he cheers me on, when I do these and there's one viewer or none, he's watching. And he knows that every word that comes out of my mouth is purposeful. And I encourage everybody to get this same way, because you can. From the way I had lived up until last November 11th of last year, wasn't perfect at Gateway, did some stupid shit, but it still filled a higher purpose than what I even realized at the time. I'm not perfect here. Had some arguments with the wife. I had some regressive moments, but I'm catching them quicker than I ever have. I'm not walking out of the house. I'm not setting myself up to go drink and drug. I'm standing there and I'm like, this is what I did, huh? I said this, I should have said that, I should have shut up and let you say that. And I'm catching myself, and I'm seeing my wrongs. I get to rewrite those the correct way, because God took the drugs and alcohol out of my life. He said, okay, you're kind of still on your own now, but when you mess up, I'm standing still, but I'm holding your hand. You ain't going nowhere either. So we'll stand here together until you right it. So when I'm wrong and I promptly admit it, that means I've got nowhere to stand but where God's stopping me and holding my hand at until I get it right, or at least make an honest effort to better it. So that's it. Appreciate everybody that came with me on this rant journey. Tracy, Teresa, Alex. Great seeing Alex on here, man. I wish he'd jump in here more often. But everybody should hit Alex up and tell him to do On the Spot with me. Change his life. Everybody, I'm going to go chill. It's been a good one. Love and respect to everybody. Have a great night. You deserve it. Be good. Be good to yourselves first.